Okay, all rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Statement of our values. As we gather, we humbly seek blessings upon this meeting. May we act with strength, courage, and the will to perform our obligations and duties to our people with justice to all. Let us seek wisdom so that we may act in the best interest of our people, our neighbors, and our country. All this we ask so we may serve our community with fairness and respect, putting their needs before all.
Please be seated.
Do the roll call.
Oh, okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Soling? Here. Commissioner James?
Here.
Commissioner Kelly?
Here.
Chairperson Casey?
Present.
Okay, Commissioner O'Halloran here, and Rachel has asked to be excused.
Oh.
I move to excuse Commissioner Chahal.
Second.
Oh, so for that, do we need to press the button too? Not today, but usually we have to. Okay. All right.
It was me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Yeah.
Okay. Aye. I had to toggle back to it.
Oh, okay. Let's press yes. Oh yeah. Okay. Hearing procedures. Public hearings are conducted by the chair in accordance with the following procedures. The chair of the commission directs all activity during the hearings. All comments shall be addressed to the commission. Any item on this agenda may be continued to a subsequent hearing. Applicants will be allotted up to 10 minutes to present and justify proposals, following staff presentation of the item. Other speakers will be given up to 4 minutes. The applicant is allotted up to 5 minutes for rebuttal of comments. No additional comments will be accepted upon the close of the public hearing, although the commission reserves the right to direct questions to any speaker on any matter. Special procedures and time limits may be applied to any items as prescribed by the chair, and the appeal of commission actions must be filed in writing within 7 calendar days.
Consent calendar, we have the Planning Commission minutes for February 14th.
Oh, we're not going to do continuances and exceptions?
Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead.
Oh, okay. Any continuances and exceptions? Okay.
On our consent calendar, we have the Planning Commission minutes for February 14th. If there's any speaker on those or a motion.
Okay, Commissioner Jane.
I would like to correct something from the minutes. It said Commissioner Jane asked the applicant about using a tankless water heater, and that's actually a heat pump water heater. Rather than tankless water heater, it's heat pump water heater. Yeah.
Else?
I need to abstain on this one.
I move that we accept the minutes with the change as noted from Commissioner Jane.
Second.
Okay, next item.
Item set for hearing tonight is the property at 2925 Mead Avenue. It's the K1 driving facility. And they're asking to extend business hours and change the on-site sale of and service for the alcohol beverages.
With the staff.
Thank you. Sherry Casey, members of the commission. So the request this evening is to allow K1 Sports to amend their existing use permit, and it would comprise a couple of different requests associated with the existing business. So the use permit has a couple of components. One is to request the extension of the business hours, and it is to add to that business the sale and consumption of beer and wines, alcoholic beverages. And currently there is an existing electric kart racing facility. So this is the location. It comprises approximately 63,000 square feet of an existing 116,000 square foot industrial building. And the use permit was granted in 2011, and the business has been in operation since 2012. So this shows the existing interior and where the proposed cafe would serve beer and wine. It shows the existing footprint for the interior layout. And so the modification also includes a request to eliminate one of the conditions of approval, and that is for roof-mounted toxic gas sensors. On this site, the existing facility, as I mentioned, occupies approximately 50% of the industrial building. The other side includes a volleyball club called City Beach, and it is recreational facilities. There's other recreational facilities within the vicinity of this area as well, and they've all obtained use permits for this. K1 Speed has operated the indoor electric kart racing facility on this property, as I mentioned, since 2012. The applicant has many other locations that have the same activity, and also numerous ones that serve beer and wine for their facility, and one actually is in San Francisco, and the applicant can also describe the other locations across the country where this is currently in operation. The police department has had no calls for service related to either patrons or any activity associated with the business. There are no current code enforcement cases on the property as well. There was some review by the fire department for the electric or the toxic gas sensors, and we are no longer requiring those because of the way the fire department deals with toxic spills and the amount of backup, basically mechanical equipment that's in place for businesses, that it isn't necessary. So that's no longer a requirement that we place on businesses as part of either a mitigation or a condition of approval. So since it's also a very expensive and difficult system to maintain, and so we have other businesses coming forward that are requesting to eliminate that as well. So, and that's with the approval of the fire department. The property is in a light industrial zoning district, and also the general plan is for low-intensity office R&D. And it is in one of the exception areas where we allow for recreational or assembly usage, so it does fall within that category. The planning, again, there was a mitigated negative declaration and monitoring reporting program prepared previously. The fire department is in support of to remove the requirement for the toxic gas sensors, and as I mentioned, it is within the exception of the 4 places of assembly and entertainment. There's a total of 152 parking spaces that are provided for the shared use. There's no change in that. And there's no exterior modifications. The way that the operation is provided for the patrons is the drivers are issued bracelets, which allows them to race. Upon completing the racing, if they are of age and are able to purchase beer and wine in the concession area of the cafe, the bracelet is cut off, so they're not allowed to operate a vehicle. Then it is replaced with a fluorescent hand stamp. The hand stamp is what identifies customers as having consumed beer and wine, and customers without bracelets and customers with hand stamps will not be able to race. So that is how the operation is maintained, and this is the same process they use across the country. So because of the various conditions we have in place, verifying the existing operations across the country, and because this is offering beer and wine for entertainment venues is a positive addition to the city and offers customers an alternative, and it is tightly controlled. Staff is supporting the request to amend the use permit, as well as the change in the hours, which are fairly minor. This is enumerated in your staff reports, approximately 1 hour during the weekdays, and then on Saturdays, it's a 1 hour additional from 11 p.m. to midnight. And then Sunday would be, instead of 6 p.m. closing, they would close at 9 p.m. So subject to the conditions of approval, the staff is supportive and recommends Planning Commission approval of the amendment to the use permit.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments? Panel. Okay, Commissioner Jane.
I have a question about condition C6. It states live music or karaoke music entertainment is prohibited. And I don't understand the reason for that.
I have discussed this prior in other Planning Commission meetings, and live entertainment is a conditional use, and so the applicant has to specifically request it. It has to be noticed, and it has to be approved by the Planning Commission if it's to be incorporated into the business model. So that was not a part of the request. Therefore, we have to specifically exclude it since it is a conditional use and it requires a discretionary approval.
And so my question again is, this seems to be the default of the city to have the applicant request it. I would like to change the default of the city is to grant it.
Well, one thing is, just to be clear, because it is a discretionary approval, even if we were to incorporate that with the applicant's consent, first of all, they're supposed to make the application. Secondly, if they do not operate live entertainment within a 2-year period, it would expire. So they would have to come before this body to gain approval if they wanted it in the future.
I guess my question is, that's the current policy of the city. What does it take to change the current policy of the city?
We would have to amend the zoning code.
And that's in process right now.
That is in process.
So can I make a formal request from this body to add that to the amendments to the zoning code?
You could. I think it's premature. I would recommend when we bring the zoning code or have the study sessions that be one of the items that you raise, since that is not on the agenda this evening.
I'd also like to point out that this issue hasn't been agendized, and so I would caution against taking any action
Right.
on
but I
making this
could
sort of
request
recommendation.
that it become agendized.
Yes, you can do that, but I would recommend waiting until after this item to recommend that.
Correct. I was just trying to understand the motivation and the procedures to change it.
And also to stipulate, just so the commission is aware, the police department has to issue a live entertainment permit. So the applicant has to apply for that. There is a vetting process, there's a fee involved, and there is action taken by the police department. So if they do not move forward with that, there's no availability to conduct live entertainment. So it is a 2-part process.
And we could probably discuss this later, but I'm just saying, is there a code that requires the police to require that?
Yes.
So there's
There is
procedure.
authority in the municipal code for
So
them to
there's a
issue a
procedure
permit.
for changing the municipal code for that as well.
Yes, there is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner O'Halloran.
This may be more of a question for the applicant, but is this like an on-street, can you be walking down the street and go into the place to K1 and go to bar, sign up for the driving the car?
Yes.
Okay, so this is open to everyone.
Commissioner Kelly.
Just a quick question to staff, and then I'll have a comment. I've actually been to the place, so if there's not live music, but if there's just like background music played, is that something that would be allowed?
Yes, as long as it didn't exceed the noise limit that we have for industrial uses, it would be fine indoors, as long as it's not live entertainment.
Okay. And then my comment was that I went there with my girlfriend and her son, and we had a good time, and we thought it was fine.
Commissioner Salem.
Hi, I had a couple of questions. I understand the removal of the toxic gas sensors because it's not a hydrocarbon situation, but is there going to be an air quality sensor, a minimum set of air quality sensors for ozone and for anything related to like the tire ablation when they're driving that will give off gases?
You know what, we could ask, yeah, the applicant to verify that information.
Okay. We'll wait. As long as you heard the question, that'll help. Yeah. And then is there any division of patrons by minors and adults for the alcohol part, or is this considered like a restaurant with mixed use?
I'm sorry, could you repeat your
Is
question?
there any differentiation of the minors and underage patrons from the adults that are going to be using the alcoholic beverage service? Or is it a mixed situation like in a restaurant?
I think we have to ask the applicant about that as well.
Okay, good. And I'm done.
Okay, would the applicant like to describe the project?
Today, my name is Scott McCurry. I'm the National Director for K1 Speed. To answer your two questions, our carts are electric, so there is no emission whatsoever given off. So there's no issue of any kind of gas opportunity. The other thing to the question about the alcohol permit, it's beer and wine only. It's considered kind of like a restaurant permit. Yes.
Oh, okay, thanks. Would you like to add to the staff's presentation about your project?
Yeah, so again, thank you for the time. She mentioned it earlier that we have a process. 17 out of our 31 centers across the United States have alcohol, beer and wine in them. We do very well. We've had no incidents whatsoever with making sure that everyone that comes into the center, no matter how old you are, will get a bracelet. You will not drive a cart at all if you have consumed any kind of beer or wine in the building. So we do make sure of that. Once that bracelet's cut, that means you have had alcohol and you will not be allowed to drive. Our whole campaign is you drive before you drink, kind of like the Heineken commercial you have, if you've seen that, where the head Formula One racer does not drink at all. That's what we do. It's just a form of entertainment that helps us build some revenue and provide a great food and beverage experience as well. But you will not drive a vehicle, no.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, let's see. Let me open my panel. Commissioner Jane.
I was wondering, what is the youngest age that someone could drive? And do they have to be accompanied by a parent? And then do you have like season passes? Like, are there kids, like teenagers, that would just come after school and drive on their own?
Great questions. We don't have an age requirement. It's a height requirement.
Okay.
So you have to be over 48 inches. We We don't have season passes. It's, you can buy 3 races packaging that have to be used that day. But no, we do not have a season package where just minors would come in at their will, no.
But someone, say 15 years old, could come in on their own and drive.
They'll get a bracelet.
Correct, yeah, and they wouldn't be able to obviously consume alcohol. I was just thinking that, do you have a number of kids like that just come in on their own?
No, in fact, we don't. Because of most parents bring them, due to the fact that there are go-karts, they average about 45 miles an hour. It's not the old go-karts that you're used to, the gas that put around. They're from Italy. It's a nice vehicle. It's safe, but at the same time, no, we don't have just kids walking off the street coming in. Reason we don't is because of where they're located. It's an industrial area, so it's just not right down the street from a school or something like that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, kids that want to drive, they'll come on their bicycles and then ride the cars, right? So I was just concerned it doesn't happen. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
And do you have limits of how many drinks you sell to each person?
We monitor it to 2 within an hour. Right now, we've been very successful that not most people, most of our guests do not consume more than 2 beers. It's not a place you go to hang out at a bar. It's a place to have entertainment, watch your kids race, if you would like to race too, and then afterwards, if you want something cold, they get a beer or 2. But no.
And what if, I show up with my friends and I decide to buy drink, one friend, I buy 2 drinks, give one to the other friend. How do you make sure that person's wristband is?
We will not let you buy 2. If you're up at the cashier, you only get 1. If your friend wants one, that friend has to be in front of us and we ID them, make sure they have a bracelet and all that. You're not allowed, no, we don't just, if you walk up and say, my husband's over there, your husband has to be right next to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, no other questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Would the member of the public like to speak? Okay, which means no rebuttal either. All right, let's move, motion to, would anyone, like to make a motion to close the public hearing? Yeah, let me figure this out. Okay, Commissioner Jane has the floor.
I move to close public hearing.
Any seconds?
I'll second that motion.
Commissioner Helen seconded. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, let's move on
We
to
actually should
discussion.
vote, right?
Oh, wait, I
supposed
didn't
to vote
vote. Oh, shoot. Into my vote. Okay. Public hearing is closed. Any discussions? Okay, any motions? Oh, let me see. Okay, we have Commissioner Jane.
No, that's left over. They didn't clear it from before.
Oh, okay. Well, does anyone want to make a motion?
Yes, can I do it here, or should I do it here? Or? Okay, just general. I'd like to
enter your name, and I have to give you the floor from now on.
Am I able to do that here?
Yeah, you have to press that button and ask for the floor.
Okay.
Ask me to recognize you. All right, I recognize Commissioner O'Halloran.
Close public
I
hearing.
would like to make a motion to approve the recommendation of the staff. Second.
Okay, any discussions? Okay, all in favor?
We have to go to the
wait.
vote thing.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the last motion?
I made the motion.
Oh,
So in order to make the motion, you have to request to speak.
Yes.
First.
Yes.
I had done that.
We did that.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the staff's recommendation.
Seconded it? Oh. There's no discussion. Oh, oh, okay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
So that amendment is final unless there's an appeal within 7 calendar days. Office of the City Clerk.
Okay, public presentations. I had a resident in the city contact me about his home. And I don't know if that person is here today, but I have a, oh, you do have, okay, so would you like to, oh, okay, so just just as a disclosure, so I was contacted by this, somebody, member of the public, and this resident wanted to know about, I guess, apparently his home is in the single, wait, it's on one of the streets, residential streets, but it's zoned agricultural. I invited him to come and speak at the segment of the meeting to clarify the issues because I got confused talking with this resident. So if you would like to come up and speak, if you like, please state your name.
Hi, my name is George Tsai. I want to take the opportunity to thank the commissioners for the opportunity to speak. I'm here at the invitation of Chairwoman Zeki to address the commission. Excuse me if I speak too quickly. I'll try my best to speak slowly. I'm a little bit nervous. I would just want to address the commission and call attention to their a matter that's affecting currently me and my family. My wife and I are homeowners in Santa Clara on Serena Way. We're a growing family. We had a new baby last year. And we have our parents with us as well, helping with our childcare. And like many families, we've outgrown our home, our 2-bed, 1-bath home. So we began to inquire how to add to our home. In our research at the planning division, we were informed that unlike all the other homes on our street, that our home was zoned agriculturally. As such, I was told by division staff that unfortunately any additions to my home would have to be restricted by a 15-foot side setback, in contrast to the 5-foot setback that's enjoyed by my neighbors who are zoned residential. For our lot, that's particularly a challenge because it's only 60 foot wide. So 15 feet on each side would be extremely restrictive and create some practical difficulties in addition. It's our understanding that the city's in the process of updating the zoning code. And as part of that update, there will be a simplification and likely eliminating the agricultural zoning altogether. But until that update is completed, my family has been recommended to apply for rezoning on our own and bear the financial responsibility of the application fee and then go through the city council process. I was informed that the commission probably will not be able to take any actions because this item is not officially on the agenda, but I just want the commission to be informed that there are families being impacted by the outdated district zonings. Any efforts to relieve these hardships and difficulties will be greatly appreciated. I welcome your questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, okay, Commissioner Jane.
My impression is that properties zoned agriculture get a tax break. Is that correct?
That's only if they have a Williamson Act contract. It's like a Mills Act, but it applies to agricultural land.
I see. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that it's possible that the applicant or the speaker's property taxes might be affected by a change in zoning.
Probably not. It's really meant for much larger expanses of
Okay.
land.
Okay.
Commissioner Kelly.
It's funny because I do see this from time to time, and it is a surprise. Can we put this parcel on our agenda so he doesn't have to bear the cost to submitting a formal application to the, I I guess, the planning commission to allow a variance?
Well, the process is, he is requesting that this city initiate the rezoning, but we explained there, I thought somebody
But
called
that would
him
take
today.
more time, correct?
Yes, I mean, it has to be rezoned. I mean, in order
No,
to.
I understand it needs to be
Mm-hmm.
rezoned, but so he doesn't bear the cost, and a city rezone would take much longer. Can we put it on the agenda to change the zoning from agricultural to single-family so he doesn't have to bear the cost, or wait until the city changes the zoning from agricultural to single-family?
You just said to rezone it, but then you're talking about a
Well, I mean,
variance, so I'm confused.
what I'm saying is, rather than the city looking at all the little remnant parcels, which I assume is what you were referring to, can we just do his parcel as an agendized item
Oh.
so he doesn't have to pay the
Yes,
fee?
we do have individual rezonings because you just saw one, or one's coming forward to you that is a Mills Act contract property, but it's zoned neighborhood commercial or downtown commercial. So there are other properties besides ones that are zoned agricultural that
He's going to have to pay a fee to do that?
he'll have to ask for a waiver from the city council, so we can agendize on your next agenda to consider the request, but you'll have to make a recommendation to city council. Only city council can waive the fee.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, so otherwise, the applicant can just go through the regular
Yes.
rezoning request. So
Yes.
there's no action that the planning commission needs to take or to assist this resident about his question or request.
Yes, I think the approach is if the city initiates it, either through the planning commission or city council, there's an opportunity to waive the filing fee.
Oh,
But he is not restricted from filing that application now and paying the fee and going through the process.
okay. So either somebody from the city initiates the process, which will be free of cost to the applicant, or the applicant can submit a request to rezone and at the same time also submit a request to waiver the fee. And those two issues will be addressed
It
separately.
would have to come to the planning commission first and then go to city council.
Okay, all right. So are the options clear to the applicant of what we just discussed?
Yes, so I was made aware today, actually by email, by the planner, that for the council, for the commission to take upon any action, it would need to be agendized. So I will be making that request, and hopefully the commission can take the initiative and help me rezone my property. I do also want to point in fact that the other options, just to clarify that when presented to me was also to build an addition within the current setbacks, which is 15 foot on each side. I've approached architects and they found it extremely difficult to do so, so I've eliminated that as an option.
Okay, that issue will be
Yes.
discovered.
And then another option
discussed
to
at
me as well that's available would be to apply for variance.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, all right, thanks. Moving on. Reports of commission, board liaison, and committee. Anybody? Okay, nobody?
I have an item number
Oh.
4. Are we
Oh,
there
item
yet, or-
4. Okay, we have, would you like to request 4-4?
Okay, so there's not going to be any other comments from staff?
Oh, on public presentations?
No, just, I thought you meant we're down on reports of commissions.
Yes, we are.
Okay, and so I do have a travel comment, or travel report.
Oh, okay, so
So,
let's go to the
but
first one, announcements and other items. Okay, thank you. Would anybody like to speak? Okay, nobody?
Oh, could I,
Commissioner Salem.
He had something ahead of me, so why don't you?
Okay, Commissioner O'Halloran.
okay, again, I'm not sure the orders of all this, but it isn't a travel report, so I'll say it now. He's not here, but I want to congratulate Commissioner Chahal, who will be recognized by the Boy Scouts of America, Silicon Valley, at the upcoming awards, character awards, honors meeting. This is for the Boy Scouts of the Silicon Valley, and Monterey Bay, so it's a large group. He's chosen because of his community leadership and exemplary character and integrity. He's obviously, we all know him as a community leader on the Planning Commission. This is really specifically honoring community members who are supporting youth programs. And Raj has done that with the Sister Cities group. And also he has done with the Boy Scout Troop 600, the Sikh Boy Scout Troop, who you've probably seen at the Arts and Wines Festivals. They usually have a booth there. So I just wanted to make that announcement.
Thank you. Congratulations to our fellow commissioner.
And if anybody wants to go to the dinner, talk to me.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Salem.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if there was an update on the email.
I'll defer to Rosa if she has
The last update I got was the IT's looking into it. They did start the process, but I'm not sure what where they are in the process of that. So we'll follow up with you.
So has it decided? Has it been decided whether we're gonna have city email or not?
I don't have an answer for you
Okay.
for that. Yeah.
Can we get an answer as to when we can get an answer?
Sure. At the next meeting, we'll give you an update.
Thank you. All right. Board or committee assignments and architectural committee. Well, I'm on the architectural committee, but I have nothing to report. Commissioner travel and training reports, request to attend trainings. Okay. Commissioner O'Halloran.
On February 20th, I went to a SPUR meeting. That's the Planning for Urban Renewal Group. They had a discussion of public transit implementing the state rail plan, where they had representatives from Caltrain and Caltrans talking about that on there. I'm not sure if people know about what the SPUR group is. If I do, it's been a group, obviously, promoting planning for urban renewal, particularly in affordable housing, and in this case, public transportation is one of the solutions or supports for that. I will say, I thought about it. It was down on First Street in San Jose, and I thought about walking there, about 4 miles. But I also thought to myself that, you know, all our talk about public transport, I really don't take the public transit very much. So I did take the VTA bus 22 down from near my house, Valley Fair, to downtown San Jose, and it was easy on, easy off, and much more relaxing than driving my car or finding a place to park.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Jane.
So I had a comment. As of January 1st, if you use your Clipper card on VTA, you can go down there, listen to a SPUR lecture, and if it's within 2 hours, you come back for free.
Oh.
Because you get a free transfer.
I'm going to ask you more about the Clipper card, because that was on my list to do. I don't know how to get the Clipper card.
Okay, thank you. All right, upcoming agendas, Director of Community Development or City Council actions?
Thank you. Since your last meeting, there were a couple of council meetings, but only 2 different ones that had items that the Planning Commission had acted on. And so one is on March 6th, there was a continuation of the interviews for the appointment to the Planning Commission. So they carried that over to a date uncertain at this point, but I believe there's about 8 applicants for that position. And then 1075 Pomeroy, that's the item that you heard. It's a 4-lot subdivision, and it's next to Pomeroy West or Pomeroy Green. And the council did adopt the mitigated negative declaration and the MMRP, but they deferred action on the rezoning and the tentative map until they referred the design of the project to ARC, and that's supposed to be looked at. I believe we have a date coming up that it's going to be reviewed, the next ARC meeting. So there will be an attempt to try to work through some of the design issues that were a cause of concern to council and to the neighborhood. So it's going to return there before going back to council to reconsider the rezoning and the tentative map to subdivide the property.
Thank you.
So that will not come back to the Architectural Committee or to the Planning Commission?
That remains to be seen. It wouldn't come back to Planning Commission, but we're looking at this as being the final review of the architectural considerations, if possible. Otherwise, if they can't come to some agreement, or if we don't see a final design return there, it may end up coming back there to see the final product.
But that's no change from what was brought forward to the Planning Commission, what the council looked
There
at? Because I know that
were
I had a
some
concern about
changes.
the parking, parking spaces per unit. Is that unchanged? I know that was.
That did not change, because they do meet the requirement for the required parking.
Oh, I thought they did not.
They do, yes. And then, again, there was, let's see, the other item on, for the March 6th meeting was the Cheney Street. It doesn't have an address, but it's, it's 2 lots, and it was considered for a general plan amendment, early consideration, and it is to allow up to 9 units on the property. They would be townhomes, and so the council did consider that item and did say that directed staff to allow that process to continue. So that general plan application will be filed, the formal application, well, actually it is filed, but it'll be allowed to be continued to be processed. So there were some concerns about the architecture of the project, but that wasn't fully worked out yet, and this was just to allow the change to the density range. It's just moving up 1 density range. So that one was permitted to continue in the process. And that was all since your last meeting.
Thank you very much. Okay, any,
I'd requested something for upcoming agenda items, but
oh, that's
somehow
right.
it got missed.
Oh, yeah. Now, when were we supposed to talk about that?
It was supposed to be just before city council actions.
Oh,
Somehow it got passed over.
okay. All right, so, Commissioner Kelly.
I have a quick question for staff, because the gentleman wanted to agendize the rezone, or the request that the council waive the rezoning fee, but he also said that he's going to ask for a variance. Is he going to have to pay the fee anyways, since he's going to ask for a variance and have to come to
No,
us?
I think what he was saying is that he had a designer look at doing an addition within the existing setbacks, and so it wasn't possible. So, so that would be the difficulty. So I don't think he was intending to proceed with a variance.
It was one of the options, variance, that
Well,
he looked
yes,
at
but-
versus rezoning.
Versus, is
Well,
it versus
I think
rezoning?
I think that's something that Commissioner Kelly was discussing, but I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
The variance
Would the applicant like to clarify that? What
You're gonna
you're
have to-
planning on pursuing?
Are you going to have to ask for a
Or
variance
not
either
the
way?
applicant, the member of the public, sorry.
Commissioner Kelly, your question is?
Well, you brought up variance. Are you going to have a variance either way with your project, the way it's laid out?
No, I was told that by the architect that I would be able to complete the addition with either a variance or the rezoning the property.
Okay.
The difference being the application fees are significantly lower for a variance, and the process for a variance would only have to go up to the commission, from what I understand, versus going to rezoning, which would have to go through a public hearing and all the way to the recommendation to the city council.
So I would like to make a request to staff that we agendize a request to council to waive the fee to rezone his property from agriculture to single family.
I don't know if that's the proper process.
Yeah, the applicant has to make the request, and he has been instructed what to do.
So
So
we
we
don't
will
do it.
receive a request, we will place it on the agenda.
Okay. all
Yeah,
right.
you
So-
don't have to
so-
get into the particulars
So
about
if you
that.
make the request, it'll come to us, and we'll pass it on to the council. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Jane.
So I would like to request that we place on the agenda that we discuss that staff look into changing the zoning code to make live entertainment the default for all applications at restaurants where they serve alcohol.
We need to vote on that, or?
Yeah, I just want to, I know the commission's brought up other items besides this, such as
Yeah, what
for
did
different specific plans, but you're going to be involved in the zoning code update, so I don't know if you want to just wait and look at all the issues, or you want to take things one at a time. It hasn't been agendized for discussion yet, so, I mean, the whole zoning code update, and you can certainly review this in advance, but I'm just concerned it'll get lost in the shuffle of getting the zoning code update, since it's not being taken as a whole, and your recommendations as a body aren't being forwarded to, as part of that process yet. So, I mean, we'll certainly keep track of them, but it is a little bit out of the order that we would review
So
changes.
all I'm doing is I'm asking that it be formally added to the list of things under consideration.
For the zoning code update?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so again, you would need to agendize that first and then have a discussion about it and then vote on it, since it's not an agendized matter.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let
we'd
me
have to put
restate
it
the
back on
motion. So I would like for us to put on the agenda a discussion of requesting in the list of zoning code update options, a consideration of changing the default that live entertainment is automatically granted to an applicant for when they have wine and beer service.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Okay, any discussions?
It's better to have the consensus of the whole commission as a whole to add something to the next agenda.
Okay, all right, any other discussions? All in favor?
You have to vote on your.
Yeah, that's right, we need to vote. Okay, I voted. All right, everyone's unanimously passes. All right, so it's going to be on the next agenda, or hopefully the next agenda. Okay, any other, anybody wants to speak on any other matter? Any motion to adjourn? Okay, Commissioner Jane,
I move that we adjourn.
any seconds? All in favor?
To vote on this
Do
thing.
we have to vote on that too?
On that one.
Yes. Passes unanimously. Thank you. So the next meeting is on the 28th.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did want to ask something. I will not be at architectural review on the 21st. Thank you, Lance. You like it? Okay, good.
So,
You want to ask
you want all the
Rosa?
paraphernalia?
Thank you.